All right. So did you go to Seattle?
I did go to Seattle. Yes, went down to visit family for Thanksgiving. We usually can't make it down till a Thursday, so they have the actual dinner on a Friday, and then on the Saturday went with my son and did a bit of a photo walk, and actually went. They have a tour there called Underground Seattle, so that's kind of cool. Went down into some of the subterranean parts near Pioneer Square.
Yeah, I heard about that and I was curious about it, but by the time I left, I said, crap, I forgot even to look into that because apparently it was the newer city was built on top of an older city to accommodate wider roads or something like that.
No, it's a variety of things. One, the original city that they built in the 1800s, down by where the port is in Pioneer Square, that whole area, it was basically on a tidal flats. So it was probably fairly low in relation to the kind of control over sewage and water that they could manage. So lots of flooding and other things would happen. But the key thing is in, I think it's 1885 there was a huge fire and about 30 blocks of Seattle burned to the ground, like totally razed because they couldn't fight it. The water system cacked out pretty early. And so when they rebuilt, they basically rebuilt that whole area, but a lot of the let's say buildings that remained, like the larger buildings that didn't get fully raised, their original ground level was now 2 stories underground or 1 or 2 stories underground. So there's a whole area of the city where what they decided to do, and I might be getting some of this wrong, they built these kind of containment walls around the blocks. And then in between where the roads were, they then ran sewer and services and things like that. And then they used water like fire hoses and everything to recontour the whole hillside to kind of bring stuff down to raise the elevation. So when you go into around the Pioneer Square area, you've got these buildings where you can look down and like their main entrance is, a story or so underground. And most of that stuff is covered over with, so when you're walking on the sidewalk there, you're actually walking over top of a tunnel system that's within that block. So uh, once they got the sidewalks rebuilt and everything, all of these buildings had this stuff underneath. And it immediately turned into speakeasies and brothels and all kinds of businesses of every sort. And it's been, like a kind of underground history that's been running through over the decades. So now that they're like you still can go to bars and things like that, or these cool subterranean spaces. But anywhere where you go on a sidewalk where they have those kind of purple grid pattern pieces of glass embedded in the sidewalk, those were light wells to let
Um,
light down into those spaces. I took a really cool picture of one of those from below looking up. I put it up on Flickr, but yeah, so that was kind of fun to do. I like walking that part of the city because it's so interesting in terms of the architecture and
mhm.
the the slopes of the city really create like this. There's this verticality in the built city in Seattle, in part because of the geography and because of these kinds of things. So you get these amazing view lines and perspectives all over the place.
No, I went down this area just like kind of across the street from the art museum, and it
Yep,
was like a downhill, and you saw
yep,
these
that's it.
restaurants and stuff
Yep,
like that.
that's right near
Yeah,
Pikes Market.
yeah,
Yeah, and then just all of those elevations. And a few years ago, there used to be what was it called? And the Alaskan Turnpike or something. Basically, they did what engineers sometimes do. They built a freeway, right on the waterfront,
yeah,
so it's
yeah.
ice for years. So they tore that all down, built a tunnel in somewhere under the bay there. And now it's this beautiful kind of promenade with, lots of nice piers and touristy places and restaurants and an aquarium, lots of good, cool stuff.
Yeah, it sort of reminds me of what do you call it, the area around San Francisco where he goes around by the
Hmm.
piers and stuff. Not the hell, there's a name for it. Anyway, it's like that, and it's kind of like the Chicago lakefront is like
Hmm.
that somewhat.
Yeah. So no, anyways, it's I always enjoy the main thing I do as a tourist when I visit places is I take pictures. So I'm extracting all kinds of, photographic interest from places I travel to, including in Vancouver. And I stop and get, have something to eat or get a beer from time to time. So I'm supporting the economy a little bit,
Yeah.
but otherwise, it's kind of passing through and seeing what catches my eye.
So have you posted any pictures of that yet? I haven't checked.
Yeah, there's well here I'll show us one that since we were talking about the underground, there was one that I posted. I've actually my whole last week of images is from Seattle, mostly from this visit, but then also some from last year too. Here, I'll share the one of the lights because that's kind of cool. Can you see that?
It's coming on. There it is. Yeah. Oh yeah.
So they like from above, you see just kind of a grid pattern of light squares basically, and they're usually purplish. We have these in Vancouver in some old neighborhoods too. But whenever you see those underneath, there's going to be a passageway or some kind of room, and often it's used in places like to bring in stock and stuff like that. But they turn purple because it's a reaction of the manganese in the glass to UV rays. So over time, like they started off white, but they kind of turn purplish.
Yeah, I think I might have gotten a picture from the other side like that. I'll have to take a look through my photos because often I'll shoot interesting things, structures on the ground, like manhole covers and things like that, But I'll have to check and see if I actually
Yeah.
shot something like that.
Here's another one that was right in the neighborhood here that again, Seattle's just got all kinds of weird textures and interesting views. Like this is like they have these, for a period of time, this neighborhood was quite distressed. It still is to a certain extent. And they were taking these beautiful old buildings down and putting up parking lots, or they're hollowing out these beautiful buildings and turning them into parking lots. And this is one where it's a beautiful triangular block, and there's this amazing building just behind it. But, again, you just end up looking through all of these different elevations and scenes. And in this case, there's this weird stuff going on with the wire there that was, I think, an art installation too, because that's actually all copper in there.
That
Um,
would be a fun stereo shot.
yeah. Yeah, because I guess with the stereo you'd be able to get, some of the depth of things. And
Yeah.
then did you go and use the subway at all, the metro that finally
No, I
is?
did not go in the metro. Yeah.
So this is an old, I guess this is an old brake or a wheel that they used with an old subway car there to kind of help to do something or another. But anyways, yeah, Seattle's got some cool stuff.
Yeah, I've seen stuff like that in San Francisco with the cable cars.
Yeah,
Because San Francisco, they run barely under the street. There's like slots. You can hear them swishing around through those slots.
yeah. This is a fun one because it's like it's just a picture of a mural floor in from the 1800s, and it's still really in good shape. But I had to do like severe correction with the geometry here because I'm
Oh
I'm
yeah,
shooting at an angle, but I was able to actually get it pretty straight. So, anyways, there's just
that
a
looks
few
good. Yeah,
glimpses of like again, it's lovely going to another city because you're attracted to things that might not be the same, and that's wonderful when you have a camera in hand.
yeah. And a lot of people go, "When do you take a picture of that?" That's just like
Yeah.
too plain. But I agree. That's why I think you need to open your eyes to what's in your own locality, because you live in a very interesting, Vancouver. Holy cow! So
Yeah, it's pretty cool here, and like you can kind of decide, okay, so if I'm going to turn left today, I'm going to be on the ocean. I'm going to have nature and mountains and forest. If I turn right, I can have as urban an experience I want, with whatever gradation. So that's a lot of fun, and they're cheek to jowl, so you can do a bit of both in one day too. Start
yeah,
off at
it's not.
Stanley
Yeah,
Park and then walking into the city.
walk around Bloomington is not bad, but it's small. It's a college town. It's pretty much. Yeah, but in the bigger cities, I really enjoy walking in bigger cities. Well,
Hmm.
Seattle I was surprised how hilly it was.
Yeah, yeah. And did you get up to, is it Capitol Hill?
I went up to that area. Yeah,
Yeah, because like there are some neighborhoods that just are all elevation. Like you're
yeah,
walking up and down all the time to get anywhere. But no, it's very picturesque in that respect. And then there are some really interesting neighborhoods. I mean, over the years, Seattle's devoured any number of smaller towns. So like going to places like Bothell or Fairhaven, or no, Fairhaven's the wrong one. That's closer to Canada. There's just a bunch of really Fremont. That's what I was thinking about. Really interesting parts to the city.
And I went through the Google complex.
Hmm.
That was interesting. The Amazon complex.
Yeah, right downtown.
Yeah, they got some interesting architecture there. I was trying to get shots of a window washer from down below, and I thought I
Hmm.
got a really cool shot with this ropes on this translucent roof above one of the sidewalks, but it didn't turn out. But it was a good idea at the time.
Yeah, I've had some luck with window washers. I shared one image with Weekly a year or so ago, but yeah, they're always worth trying to get a shot of, especially with
Yeah,
the how they're scaling the building is always cool, and then the ropes always offer some perspective in terms of the lines.
yeah. And there at the Amazon area, there was a banana stand, a big like one of those like a street vendors thing, but they were giving away free bananas.
Oh well.
So that was kind of interesting. I'd never seen that before. And they were also giving away free dog food
Oh.
in another area.
Hmm.
But yeah, the architecture was great, and it's a beautiful city. The only problem I have with Seattle is the traffic.
Yeah. I mean
Because
it. Yeah, the I-5 is, I mean, it moves a lot of people, but it also has created just a disaster in terms of, bottlenecks. One of the best things that didn't happen in Vancouver is around the same time as Seattle was doing that kind of work, there was a plan to do, like they were going to blast a freeway down the waterfront from about where I am down towards our airport, which is in Richmond. And I think most of the city turned out and said, no, you aren't. And there was protests. And so they even constructed a flyway into downtown that was supposed to be part of it, and then it ended right there because the neighborhood just wouldn't allow it to happen, which was
yeah,
great because we don't have that kind of freeway that cuts the city in two that way.
we've only got one side there too with the waterfront.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
So
Seattle does too in a sense, but the I-5 is a bit more inland, of course, and until you get down closer to the downtown.
yeah,
But they've got lots of interesting challenges there. I mean, what a lot of people don't realize is how much boat traffic is also part of the commuting experience there, because you have all kinds of people who are living in, islands or across whatever that the bay there in some of the places, and then of course there's a lot of transit to the Olympics, the Olympic Peninsula, and there's even ferries up to Canada as well. So yeah, it's that the whole Puget Sound area is pretty interesting topographically, or the geography of it.
yeah. I just realized I got to run downstairs and unlock a door. I'll be just
Okay,
30 seconds, I think.
no worries.
I'm back.
That was quick.
Somebody was, yeah, they knew I was having this meeting. And my wife told me, just unlock the door for our neighbor to come in and get we picked up their prescription. They halfway live in Florida. So
Hmm.
they had just gotten back. We picked up some prescriptions for them that are in the fridge. Uh, so now she can just waltz in there and pick that stuff up. So, and you've been, uh, with your black and white photography,
Hmm.
which I really love black and white photography and the way you can control the colors after the fact in Photoshop.
Yep.
But you use a camera that has no bare filter and you can that's all you got's black and white. Now,
Yep.
do you have any controls over that at all? Or you
Well, you
just,
do, but it's, again, it's one of these things where, controls can also be constraints. So if I want to go out and get some of the benefit of what you've just said, where I want to mix the red channel or I want to mix a green channel or blue channel, well, maybe not blue, so I don't know, I could do blue too. I have to put a filter on my camera.
just like film? Yeah.
Oh yeah. So you go out, and so like when I go out, I carry a little pouch with me with that camera. I'm just looking for that pouch. Can't see it. I usually have an orange and a red filter with me. And sometimes I'll if I'm going into a forest, I'll pick a yellow or a green one. But more often than not, I'll use orange and red because the orange is really good for just flesh tones and everything. It's about tonality, right? So it's not about the color, it's about the tonality in terms of what comes through with a little bit more contrast, for instance. Or, so you put a red filter on a black and white camera and your sky and your clouds are just, dramatically beautiful.
Yeah, those are John Ford skies.
Yeah, sometimes a bit too dramatically beautiful, but you can take a picture of a stop sign with this beautiful cloud formation and go, wow, that looks really cool.
Yeah.
So from my way of thinking, so I do both. I can take an image from a color, my M10, let's say, and I'll take those and I'll convert them. And I appreciate the fact that I can dial in certain effects using the channels. But I'm always a little bit, and I'll describe it as bias. I'm a little bit biased to trying to achieve the effect I want in camera. So, for me, that means if I can get a pretty good framing of what I'm trying to shoot in the camera rather than cropping after the fact, or the fact is, as I learned how to use this camera better, I was out last night with that monochrome camera at a show, and then walking back through the city. It's just so much fun shooting intentionally in black and white for me because I go, I think I said it a little bit in my post on the picture that I shared this week. I go after and I see different things and I get different kinds of images than if I go with a color camera. So when I'm out with a color camera, I'm attracted to the colors. I'm attracted to the light and the atmosphere in a way that's quite different. So, there are places I gravitate to when I'm carrying this other camera, the monochrome camera, where there's a lot more, a lot more lines, a lot more contrasting light. You can play differently with texture and shadow. Now you can do all of those things with a file that was started in color, but if, for me at least, going out with that already as a constraint means that I have a different kind of range of intentions in terms of what I'm shooting. And I'm just generally really pleased with the quality of the files I typically get back. I have so much latitude to work with those files if I need to, and I do. They come in pretty flat, and then I work with them from there. But they're just so, I don't know, just full of information, but it's just luminance information, nothing else. So the gradation or the smoothness of the tonalities as you move across the image can be really quite subtly beautiful to me. And I like, so I'm trying to learn how to use that really well. And there have been times when I can take a color file and use what Nick Silver FX or, use
Yeah.
whatever recipe. And it can lead to good results, but that is also good. So I like both but when I'm out with I think I'm a little bit more I have some different options available to me and a set of constraints that require me to be creative and careful in how I shoot that make it a lot of fun to be out with a black and white camera.
Now, with your camera, are you looking, is it kind of a rangefinder thing, or are you actually seeing a digital black and
No,
white
this
image through your viewfinder?
So it's this guy right here. So it's an autofocus if I want autofocus. It's a electronic viewfinder. So it's not a rangefinder. It's a Q2. So it's like it can be a fully automatic electronic viewfinder. I do prefer optical viewfinders generally because I like the light better and I don't get blackout and everything. So I never kind of lose my sense of what I'm shooting. But this works quite well. Someday I kind of dream I'd love to have a monochrome rangefinder. I think that would be awesome, but I can't quite get over the price of them. So
Yeah,
I'll have to wait a day or two, or I'll have to sell a camera to get one.
when you look at the viewfinder, though, you're looking at the black and white image.
Yeah,
Okay, and which is, I
but
think that's an interesting. It's something that never happened before. I shot plenty of black and white film, but you're
yeah,
still looking through a color viewfinder because it's
yeah,
an SLR at that point.
yeah. Well,
So,
and that with when I shoot through my M10, I'm looking through like I see a color world, but I can render that in black and white. But I guess for me, the thing that I'm aware of, like if it's not necessarily the case that it's the viewfinder that matters so much, though that helps me maybe to see what the sensor is seeing. But if I'm shooting with a black and white camera or a monochrome camera, I'll happily go out the brightest part of the day with really hard shadows because I can leverage those. But I can do that with a color camera too, with a sense that, okay, this is good. Even though everything in this picture, all these things are going to be thrown into the shadows, I can work with that. So pre-visualization, I think, is always useful in terms of whatever camera you have. But I might, if I have a red filter on, I'm probably not going to shoot red Christmas decorations on a tree because they're just going to wash right out. So you can be sensitive to the constraints of the camera or the filter you have on, and that's going to direct you to shoot one thing or another.
well,
But
like early movies, like, oh, for instance, I think Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde with where they had green makeup on that
yeah,
was invisible with the with with standard black and white photography, but when they applied the right filter, that green makeup would make it look like, coming out and turning into Mr. Hyde.
yeah, yeah.
So they had all kinds of ways to control that. They learned that pretty quickly. But when I shoot, it was when I shot black and white, even when I knew deliberately I was shooting in black and white, I still couldn't visualize or didn't try to visualize the black and white image in my head after the fact.
Hmm.
And I've tried to do that a few times, but the thing is, I never think about it most of the time. Every now and then
Hmm.
I'll think about that. But it's usually after the fact when I get under, well, I think this would be better as black and white. So I think it's a great discipline, and it would help me. And I think we did this several months ago, where I thought I had my camera set up so you can shoot, you can use the viewfinder as black and white, but it was also converting the image to black and white,
Yeah.
the image. So I want to be. There might be a way around it because I have these really deep menus.
Yeah. Well, there are the easy so the you need to set your camera so that it's capturing the DNG file, the raw file, and a JPEG. So your DNG file will always be colored because it's the full read off the sensor, and it's just the JPEG that will show whatever filter that you applied, which could be a black and white effect. So that's the typical way that you can capture both.
So, but you would view it through the viewfinder as black and white.
You could set it if you want so that you're viewing through your viewfinder is black and white, and so the image that you see on your screen will be black and white. So everything in the workflow will appear black and white, but you will have your raw file, which is color. Right? You can't get away from the fact that I mean a JPEG is a process file, so that's your
Mm.
print, but your raw file will have the color channel. So it is some people. For instance, the M9 camera, the Leica M9 camera, shoots just awesome black and white images, and you could apply, again, it would be a JPEG in this case, but you could give it like a very contrasty JPEG, and just right out of the camera, you got these beautiful, contrasty shots, and so like a lot of people do that with Fuji, like Fuji, what is it? Their I can't remember the name of the filter they use, but right out of the camera, you can get these really nice punchy JPEGs. And so I think if you want to visualize, I don't think it matters that you're visualizing through the viewfinder in black and white or not so much as what you're thinking about in terms of, well, what will an image look like? Like if you, for instance, are think of some of the buildings you saw in Seattle at certain times of the day, you know that you can play around with the shadows because of the high contrast, and that can add a lot of drama. Like textures on surfaces can really be drawn out in a way that is really interesting. And sometimes, I was thinking of the comment on the picture, the black and white picture of mine this week, about robbing the color from an image. I found that such an interesting phrasing because, like, in some respects, I think isolating texture from color is not in any way robbing, it's just shifting focus to something else. And there's all kinds of strategies we use through exposure to shift attention to structure, shift attention to light, shift attention by focus, to intent, an intent to show something and show something maybe a little bit different than just the image in front of you that you see with your eyes. So to me, it's just a tool to play around with texture, contrast, and it's also highly capable as a camera in terms of low light. So I can happily shoot away at very high ISO and be pretty pleased with the results.
What's your megapixels?
47.
That's pretty good. Yeah. That's what I got, my Z9. Now, is there, when you look at the history of art, like, and I need to look into this deeper, but I don't think painters ever painted in black and white. However, they would do sketches and
Sketches, yeah.
lithographs and stuff like that, were at least monochrome. So, but then when photography came along, it couldn't do color, or at least it could, but not without a lot of trouble because what was it? The uh, Maxwell created that Scottish ribbon,
Hmm.
and with the three color process that actually worked, but it's way too fussy for most people to fuss around with. But people, there was a period of time where it was all black and white, so that's these people were only thinking about black and white in their photographic composition, artistic composition, and then color arrived on the scene. But by that time, the horse is out of the gate, So now this awakening about black and white, I would be really interested to learn more about, or even study enough to where I would come up with my own ideas about how that worked.
Yeah.
What's the reasoning behind that? And it's not of course, it's not a bad thing but black and white's not real,
Yeah. Yeah.
but there is reality there.
Yeah.
And you get to see reality that's there, that's hidden by color.
Yeah. Well, it's like when people go to like a broad spectrum camera, or shooting with UV or shooting with infrared, all of it. Like so, the bees see the world very differently than
Oh
we
yeah.
do, and there are ways in which we can broaden and change how we are representing the world through how we capture with different tools of processing. Here, I'll show you. I was out with that camera last night. Let me show you a couple more. I think you're right that without question, I mean, the kind of presence of so much photography during a period when it was principally black and white is probably something that I'm nostalgic for. And I think back to images that were in black and white that influenced my sense of, yeah, that's a really good looking picture in black and white. There is maybe something that it does to kind of focus in on certain things other than color that can be really instructive. But I think that this is all part, like at the same time as you were saying that we didn't have the technology to do color photographs, people would do a black and white photograph and then hand paint them, hand color
Yeah.
them. Right. So the kind of instinct to try to do something a little bit more lifelike, I suppose, has long been there. But it's an aesthetic choice. Shooting pictures is also an aesthetic choice. So I was out at a show last night, and so I think this works really well in black and white. Can you see it up on your screen?
Yeah. Yes, I can see it.
Yeah, so I think this works really white and well as a monochrome image, and it kind of isolates. The color here is quite pretty too. That big base and his shirt in the background. I think they're reddish or silvery drapes. I mean, all really nice, but this kind of isolates the visual in a way that I find works really well. This is also shot at 12,500 ISO, 1
Oh,
2/50th of a second. So, and it's quite clean, which is nice. But
oh yeah,
again,
sure.
um, I I think it would be fine to have color here, but it's also fine not to have color here. Here, I'll just show you a couple from this. I'm just brought these up this morning, so I haven't even really seen much of these yet. But as I say, I just find it really fun and motivating to be out shooting with a camera like this. And I've shot in the same space with both color and black and white, and they're different. This is a cool wall. These are photos over the years. This is a really strange place. It's a little jazz club on top of a strip club downtown in Vancouver. And this Italian family has been running it for, 50 years. And all the musicians used to kind of hang out all night and party and jam here through the night. And so it's just got this really storied history of music and performance in the city. And it's a wonderful space to shoot in. very
Go to
small.
the Drake Hotel in Chicago. They have a bar that's covered with these photographs of people who visited the Drake, real
Yeah.
famous, like Alfred Hitchcock was there and so forth.
Oh, neat. But I'm sitting like right in front of the stage, so I have, like really good shots. But for me, I have and I've actually shared with Weekly shots in the same place in color, and sometimes the color is it's the right vibe and the approach I'm going to. But I don't know, I just love shooting in black and white.
Oh yeah, I like black and white. I mean, I frequently will post black and white photos, and I was working on one just the other day because I haven't hardly shot anything that almost all month, and but I've been going through and digging and mining my old photographs, trying to keep everything organized, and oftentimes I get a picture that, well, something's just not right about it, and I
Mhm.
can convert to black and white. All of a sudden, that not right is gone.
Yeah.
So, and well, I can show you one of mine that I just did yesterday that I was really happy with. I can share. Let me get it up here first. Because I just restarted my computer, so bridge is down. Now it's coming up. And I'll just go ahead and open this. uh, okay, there we go. There's a few of them here, like this one right here.
Oh, I like that.
And I mean, the color, there's just something, it just wasn't clicking for me until I converted it to black and white.
I mean,
Oh,
I can totally see why this would work well in black and white with especially with that structure behind. Is this in Paris?
yeah.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
And one thing I think with street photography, it seems to me that a lot of people will hide from me. They don't want
Mhm.
me to take their pictures. So maybe that's going to be a thing. I've had people put their hands in front of their faces and stuff like that. So I end up
Well,
with stuff like that. But I think this is much better as black and white than color.
and little did this person know, by hiding from you, they created a really cool picture.
Yeah. And
What
then
color was the umbrella?
that's a black umbrella, actually.
Yeah.
That's not convert. That's a different thing. Here, let's see. And there's this image. This is in the Met in New York from 2018. I mean,
Oh, this is beautiful. I love the kids playing in front of the child statue there. The layers here are just so fascinating.
yeah, I just like the way the rhythm turned out on this. And I need to do, and then they have the row of the people at the top where you can see the
Yeah,
heads.
yeah.
I wish I
Well,
had
and
another head over to one side there. But
but like even like you have these beautiful sculptural forms with all the kind of tense lines, and then behind the little child statue, there's a person taking the picture who almost looks like she's in a pose as well. Like
yeah,
the position of the bodies here are so complementary.
no, the next time I go to the Met, I'll try to at least get the same angle because I wish the statue would have been centered more on that opening.
Mm.
But I don't think that's all that noticeable. There's so much stuff going on to bring the eye.
Although that does mean that the back right foot is fully, like you can see the toes in the little gap between the porticos. So that works. I
Yeah,
don't know, like off center, like if everything's centered, sometimes I think it's too like I don't know, too symmetrical, too
yeah, it
balanced.
can be. Yeah. Well, I mean, I just don't like things being just a little bit off.
Yeah,
I think in this case, there's so much other stuff going on, it's almost not even noticeable. But if the people were gone, that would be noticeable
yeah.
because I think that would have improved the shot of
I
just
mean,
the statue and the opening.
yeah, if you could have backed up a little bit to get the top of the bow and the bottom of the feet,
Oh, you know
that
what? We're not. You know what? It's not stretching out. You're not seeing
ah,
the whole thing. me see if I can, because this is actually, now
Yeah,
I
so
know why this green arrow is all over the place.
yeah,
Drag the
because
photo.
I'm seeing the bottom and top cropped off.
Ah. Okay, there is a, get back into bridge. Um, So is,
Oh yeah, I can see it there. Yeah, the small one is perfect.
I can't get out of that little thing. I've got a little crayon. I guess I need to just turn that off. Anyway, you can see that. And then the next one is probably going to be chopped off too. My golly.
Yeah, I
Where I'm
don't know.
stuck with this, I'm stuck with this.
It's is it the annotate tool? Yeah, it's the annotate tool. So you should be
Yeah,
able to unclick the annotate tool.
I'm trying to figure out where to do that. Aha, I see it, I think. No, I still have, but there's more room above
Yeah. No, I saw in the thumbnail.
the head and
Oh,
everything.
the
And this is,
Degas in the background.
yeah,
Nice.
those are all three Degas. That's a Degas did a bunch of these sculptures. A lot of them were wax.
Oh, I didn't know that.
These ballerinas. If you go to the National Gallery in Washington D.C., there's a whole room full of those things.
Yeah. I don't think your jaunty kind of orange abstract here adds so much to the image, but it actually kind of
No,
works if
see what
I
happens.
sit
Like,
with it for a minute or two.
but in color, this just did not seem to work.
So how do you see that? Like, again, like aesthetically, what do you see as a difference that the black and white affords that the color didn't? Did you put your finger on it for this image?
Well, I don't know. It could be the fact that the colors weren't in balance.
Hmm.
I'll have to get the color, find the color one and bring it up. But yeah, it just didn't. It just was kind of blah.
Yeah.
And I mean, he had the color of the wall, he had the color of the paintings behind it, he had the color of the clothing. It was all mixed up. And of course, then the statue itself is monochrome.
Yeah.
So that was kind of a conflict. So this kind of equalized all of that.
Well, and I can totally see why this works well in black and white because of, the statue in particular. But, this it really comes through is just all of the faces and the details of the faces and, the wrinkles on the clothing. It all works really well. And
Yeah.
the color of the paintings is not in any way competing. They become just further forms. So, yeah, I don't think you've robbed color from this image at all.
And the other question here is the OPA.
Hmm.
So is this sufficiently transformative to share this as a piece of my own work? Or is this mostly uh,
I think, I mean, again, I appreciate the way in which people have been talking about this, and this came up on the mural that I showed. But this isn't just Degas here. These are people in a gallery interacting, and so this is not just the works of art. So I don't see any problem with you presenting this as your work. Um, you know, I don't see that, it'd be really hard to imagine why we can't incorporate the world around us that we've captured within a frame. And even if it is someone's work, I think there's ways to acknowledge that, and you still might want to show a beautiful thing that you saw. I used to go around and take details, like macro details of paintings when I would go to galleries. So like when I saw Bruegel in the Louvre, I was picking off all these little pieces of it. And, that's still just Bruegel's work, but it's interesting for me just to take out details from the world, which is kind of what we do with photography.
yeah, and yeah, with well, I mean, since I think this is sufficiently transformative, but I could be convinced otherwise. I think the idea of these people, especially the young man looking straight at me,
Hmm.
and what's going on, where are they looking? Where's everybody looking, including the ballerina? Of course, maybe she has her eyes closed or looking up or
Yeah.
whatever. So
What's interesting about this one is you could almost imagine this as a staged shot. I mean, kind of a Cindy Sherman-ish shot where you've got these three, four people kind of posed in front of a scene. all having with very different facial features, and that itself is kind of aesthetically interesting to me.
And interesting you can do in museums, especially if the museum is crowded, is wherever you point the camera, nobody's going to know pay much
Yeah,
attention because you're going to think you're just shooting the art.
yeah.
So I was
It's
trying to keep
also,
these people in the shot.
yeah.
Where am I? And
I posted
this
it. Oh, let's see that one.
is totally an accidental shot. Whether that's any good or not, I don't know. But that's another example. I thought this was much better in black and white than it was in color.
Right.
I mean, you see uh, the guy in the bottom right is bleeding out. If I can't move it to make it so you can see
Yeah, I
he's
can see it better there. If you go to the annotation tool, that the palette, you can clear your annotation so we don't have your abstract swirl on the screen. There should be a button there called clear or you an
spotlight,
eraser.
the eraser.
Yeah, there's a little trash can. Oh, there you go.
Got it. And now I need to get rid of this so I got back control of the screen.
No, but this is a good size of you. I like the way you've cut the angles here. No,
Well, that
is
was
this?
totally accidental. I bumped the camera.
Oh, hip a hip check.
Yeah. And sometimes that works.
Yeah.
And sometimes it works really well for uh, stuff like ICM. But I don't know if I have any other. Oh, here's one here.
Oh, that's interesting.
You know, so you can, I'll go just back so you can see what the whole image looks like.
Oh yeah, I love the mosaic behind him.
That's in Moscow. It's under the subway. Subways
Oh,
they don't have
really?
any
Oh my
advertisements or
gosh.
anything like that. It's a little bit, there's almost like kind of museums. The color was kind of yellow and greenish and stuff like that. It wasn't pleasant. Oh, what else did I? There's some black and white. This one, I'm not really happy with this, how this turned out. I was trying to maybe zoom in
Hmm.
more on the more reduced the edges of the building, but that didn't work out. So I thought I would just leave it out because you can see the people walking. But yeah, I don't know. It's just meh.
Okay. A couple of weeks back, I was mentioning that, like with an image like this, I found I've started to change some of the ways I've been post-processing recently to be a lot less eager to crop. So I'm spending a lot more time just keeping the image the way I composed it in the camera, and then I'll think about a crop later. Because what I was finding is like I went back to through some images, and I was cropping out. So like with this image as an example, I might very quickly just try to isolate that one facade. Because of you've got it on the corner, it's got those interesting shapes and everything. But th this picture would be lesser if you lose those people walking with the umbrellas. So like figuring out what to do with the rest of it maybe is still something to do. I kind of like this image actually. I
Well,
might
thanks.
angle it just a little bit to try to do something. But like the instinct to immediately crop in sometimes, especially if you're shooting pretty wide to begin with, it usually is really worthwhile to spend more time with what you saw and what you actually took the picture of and see what if you still see the value in what you captured rather than to immediately go and turn it into a second shot which is cropped in to a particular detail that you're wanting to isolate. I mean, I still will crop in, but I'm being a little bit more cautious about when I'm doing that.
What I'll do with a shot like generally with a shot like this, I'll try to leave just enough of the like the roof and the sides of the eaves and the little pipes
Yeah,
and things like that enough so I can crop it out because I want to isolate the what's inside the geometry inside. But
yeah.
sometimes, I mean, this is a curved wall. It leans. There's
I,
too many other things going on. I mean, if you
yeah.
once you isolate that, it's all kind of be distorted.
I'd be tempted just to capture the area of the wall with the two windows or maybe the three windows and the rough brick. Like if you could just capture that area there, that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, I was part of a walking tour there. I would have liked to have stopped and got closer on those bricks and the interesting
That,
windows.
those windows are just awesome. They're so
And
distorted with time.
yeah, this is something more like, again, that's not zeroing in on everything. But then, of course, this is when you would have color. I think the color adds a lot to this
Oh
because of
yeah,
the
red
reds.
and red.
And I also used the Photoshop remove tool to get the get the wires out. There was this completely a snarl of cables
Hmm.
over their heads.
Oh, this is cool.
And this is in Moscow University. It's a huge Stalin piece of architecture, and the locals call it Hogwarts because it looks like an old Harry Potter kind of building. And this is one of the grad students that was there, and I was just got a shot of her taking a picture of this. I don't know who in the heck that was. And oddly enough, when you get in there, there's almost no lighting. It's just window lighting.
Yeah.
Those hallways are
Awesome
real dark.
shadows that you caught here.
Yeah,
I like how they converge on her.
there's people in Moscow. The homeless people put these green outfits on and sweep up stuff.
Hmm.
I don't know if they have homeless people there or not. Um,
Good afternoon.
Hey, hello there.
hey, Jan. Wonder what happened to you? But that's pretty. I'm gonna stop sharing. All right. What have you been
Fine.
doing?
Oh, I'm in Spain now. So for photography, I did some no 2 weeks ago. There was someone, I forgot the name of him. He told about there was a group called
Oh,
50,
the
50
52 frames.
Yeah, and this week was shooting from the hip was
Yeah.
what the theme. So I've done it 200 to 300 pictures, but only not too much heads. But
How did it turn out?
I had some pictures which were fine, so I sent one in. Let's see.
Yeah, I did the same thing last week. I purposely went out to shoot a night shot from the hip with a manual focus camera at f1. That
Okay.
was as a challenge I gave myself.
I took I think F4 or something, but it doesn't matter.
That's a more sensible thing to go for, to tell you the truth.
But I noticed that I was mostly too low. And I checked it halfway, so I don't know what is the rule for it, but you check every frame, or just check just when you're ready.
Well, there's a guy in my photography club. He has a remote on his iPhone, and he holds the iPhone down low by his hip, but he can look down at the iPhone and see what was captured.
Yeah.
So, but you're talking about, I mean, I guess you can flip your LCD up and take a look at that.
Yeah, but this
One
not
way to do it.
this is not how you say. It's allowed. You can do it, but actually, they want to do it. They want you to do it without looking at the screen.
Yeah, so the idea was from the hip. So, kind of like the one you showed in the subway, where you just kind of take a shot from your hip. And actually that's a way you can shoot if you're if you got your pre-focus already set. Like it's a great way to shoot if you're using zone focusing, with a 28, 35 millimeter camera at f5.6, f8, and the world is mostly in focus at that point, so it's fine. I was walking around basically with a shallow bit of focus about 9 feet in front of me, and so I kept on experimenting. Okay, is that 9 feet? Is that 9 feet?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
after a bunch of blurry ones, I did. Here, I'll show you. I did get one that I really like.
But I learned something as well because, I'm normally shooting people in the streets. So for me, it's not so much a game, but
Hmm.
I learned that you can go more close.
Yeah, because you're very inconspicuous. This is the one I got downtown,
Okay.
but that's F1.
Whoa.
Oh, very nice. Good sharp.
Yeah, that one is I've got about six on either side of it that are much less so. So I had to kind of eyeball it and just kind of experiment, and I got some that worked, but it was
This is 20 millimeter or something?
this is a 50 millimeter.
Oh,
50.
Yeah, so it's harder to do a shot like this with a shallow depth of field with a 50 than with a 28.
Yeah, I have done it with a 50 as well.
Yeah.
But more close to the people's face. That I just was walking, and then when I was walking, I when I passed by, I took a shot.
Yeah.
So then you have maybe just maybe 5 or 8 feet. Not that's closer than normally, because normally
Yeah.
you will not do this because this is in the people's private area, more or
Yeah.
less.
In some cases, I would it's easier to take a shot like that with a manual focus lens and an autofocus lens because with the manual focus lens, you know exactly how much depth of field you have where. Whereas if you go by and you just pop off a shot and your camera's selecting, it may have gotten your shot. It may also get something across the street. So if you've got focus scales on your lens that you're shooting, and if you flip it into manual and preset to what you know will be in focus, you
Yeah,
can move very fluidly through a scene. I
yeah,
really like shooting like that.
or if you can look at like focus on people when you know about how far they are away and remember that.
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
one thing
And
I'll do with my macro photography with bees, I'll hold my flash with one hand. When I first started doing that, my flash was pointing all over the place. Eventually, I got to the point where I pretty reliably could do that without actually looking at where the flash is by
Yeah.
feel. I think you could do that same thing with the camera. Just it just takes you some practice. It wouldn't take that much practice, but you just have to
yeah.
do it.
Yeah.
I did it with continual focus as well. But
So it
then
was
I
adjusted.
found out that when you take 1 point focus, that is going wrong mostly
Hmm.
because you need to have a more big center.
Yeah.
Because when you're shooting people, yeah, they are close by, but you always go wrong because you don't know where the center is.
Yeah.
So if you make the center more big, I think it's going to it's going better. I think.
Well, and you're shooting with a Nikon, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they've got some really like with the AI algorithm helping with continuous focus with tracking. And if you
Oh
tell
yeah,
it you're tracking a person that, I mean, it's pretty darn responsive. So that's
that's
cool.
but that I don't use.
Mm.
Normally I use with just continuous focus. I pick up the people, and the focus is continuing.
Yeah,
Mhm.
the track may be really difficult on the hip. You'd have to actually watch the little square and zero it in on a person. Then you
Yeah.
can let it rip, But if you wouldn't be able to do that from the hip.
No.
That tracking it works, but it's fussy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I've been experimenting with it, but I don't have any Nikon lenses, so I'm just using manual lenses, and it actually works fairly well. I can get a pretty good confirmation, and but it is a little bit fussy, as you say.
Yeah. But actually, it's a good thing to do because, well, when you have more in your box to it will help you the next time. I think. Yeah.
Yeah. But I regularly practice the trick where, like, if I'm walking down the street, I want to know what's 2 meters, what's 3 meters, what's, yeah, two or
Mhm.
three is kind of the key working ones. But I'm pretty good at reliably knowing when something is 2 meters away from me, and I can just take a shot without even having the camera at my eye, though I
Yeah.
prefer to compose.
Yeah. It's
Don't
good
necessarily have to.
for your technique,
Yeah,
because then you know where the sharpness is.
yeah. Earlier, I was showing Teddy, I was at a show last night and I was sitting right in front of the stage, and there was a bass player right in front of me, dancing with his bass most of the night. So he was very expressive and fun to take pictures of. I was shooting from the knee because I was going low and I had my camera on my knee and I was just going to point it up and think. So that worked out fairly well.
Yeah, and I found out as well that you don't uh, think of this before, but before you go to shoot, but you shoot a lot of things you shoot normally as well.
Hmm.
So actually, you have a lot of shots that it's not necessary to do without from the hip.
Yeah.
uh, so actually, you don't you have to use shooting from the hip when it's necessary, not from when it's not necessary, because then then yeah you have no advantage.
Yeah. And it is kind of sneaky ultimately.
Yeah, it's a
Best
bit of
part.
sneaky, but the other in the other hand, what what I'm doing the street is a little bit sneaky as well. I don't like the people posing,
Yeah.
so
You want candid.
I'm always candid. But
Yeah.
other people, other street photographers, act differently. They are going to make a conversation with people and then ask for a shot, or
Yeah. More of a street
uh,
portrait.
yeah, it's not my style, but yeah, you can do it, but yeah,
I had fun last night when I was coming home from the show. It was just around or just after midnight, I guess, and I was walking through the Granville Strip, which is a kind of a party zone, a entertainment zone in the middle of Vancouver, and there were just hundreds and hundreds of young kids out on the street going in and out of clubs, lined up for things, lined up for food stalls. And I just felt like I was in heaven because I could just walk down the way and I had a 28 millimeter lens and just being able to fire off shots as I walk. You walk past something, turn around, take a shot, and everything is candid. Sometimes people see, but it actually is just there's just pictures everywhere, like so many interesting moments where you can capture
yeah,
people just kind of in the midst of things, and
yeah,
it's really you get a sense of the energy, and there's
yeah.
so many things happening, so it's
It
lovely having a
depends
wide
on
lens.
yeah, it depends on the energy of the people. Eh? So
Yeah,
when are you doing it with what kind of people? Young people
this is great.
mostly don't have a problem when you shoot them. But no, yesterday I was in front of at the end of a station when the people go up on the stairs, and when they go up, they see me sitting down. So there are people who are don't like it, but other people don't see it. I was shooting from the hip as well, from the knee as well. But yeah, it's a bit confrontating
Yeah.
because they are walking towards you, and you have to do if you are sitting there and doing nothing.
Well, I think the more you do that, the more you'll get a feel for it and you will see what works for you. I mean, not just with focus, but the right angle to be where people are coming from. But I think there is going to be a certain amount of boldness that you need to adopt to be
Yeah,
ready to not worry about if somebody's upset about you.
no, no.
Because that kind of stuff throws me off with my inspiration
Yeah,
or creativity and stuff like that.
it's not nice when people are not nice at you.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is a kind of process you have to go through.
Yeah, I mean, anytime like when I've been in a situation where someone's responded and maybe been happy, unhappy about a shot, I mean, I try to if it's no longer a candid and they see me, I mean, my first response is to smile, and also if they're still unsure, or we'll sometimes end up in a conversation. And I have deleted pictures before if people really don't want a shot, but more often than not, I've been able to talk to them about it and explain why I took a shot. And I often will send the picture to them if they want it. So that, there is a possibility that something that moves out of candid can still be a good interaction.
Yeah,
Some of my favorite times are like when I end up in a conversation with someone just walking to then kind of say, hey, back up, can I take a quick picture of you? And like opening up that opportunity. And you can just get some really fun shots that way with total strangers. So that's and feel that it was a bit of a like there's a transaction there, there's a conversation, there's a point of contact. So I prefer that to just having if someone's glaring at me taking a picture of them, I usually don't like that picture. I think I've been rude, I suppose.
So, what were you talking about?
We were talking about black and white, and I was bringing up that you can maybe a color photograph just doesn't work until you see it in black and white. Of course, Jeff here, he shoots with a black and white camera, so he's only getting color images. But I find this oftentimes I can get a color image that just doesn't seem to work, and I can convert it over to black and white, and then suddenly it works. So we were talking about things along those lines.
Then you were showing a lot of really, really interesting shots where you kind of moved from a color image to black and white, and as you said, something kind of locked in for you with the
Yeah.
The advantage when you shoot in black and white that you see directly what's the result. That's if you want black and white. Huh?
So you haven't posted anything this week, right? Yeah.
No, I was too busy with other things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've done some work at the. I showed you the picture of the Tower of Babylon. Huh? So I've done some work at it. I know now how to select better. So it's growing now.
Yeah, they're doing a lot of stuff with selection. I mean, every time you turn around, they've got some new thing in Photoshop or probably your software too. They're really making a lot of improvements with that stuff.
Yeah. There are a lot of. I've seen a lot of ways to select, and then when you have the selection good, then you have to look at the shadows in the light, because when you take different pictures and you put them in one, then you need to look at it very good, because when the light is coming from two different places, then you have to do something. But I'm quite hyped. You can see that if you put time in it, that you are growing. That's good.
Yeah, and it's very satisfying to me when it starts to click, when it finally works.
Yeah.
And then you can actually remember where to find those menu options and things like that easily.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of YouTube movies, and now you choose what's working for you, and that. And actually, I didn't do a lot of selection work before, because in the street, when something is, you leave it like it is because it's the street. But sometimes when you do other things, then it is different.
No, an unrelated thing. I was, like I said to Jeff earlier, I haven't hardly been taking any pictures the past few weeks, but I have been because of the cold weather. And I don't like getting out in the cold. I need to force myself to do that. But anyway, I've been going through older photos. And this is my usual pattern to do that, go catch up stuff from the summertime all through the winter. So I'll spend a lot of time in post-processing. And I ended up with when I was in Paris a year ago in October, I had one hard drive that was all my Paris photos. And I've got this backed up as well, where normally I don't have everything on a separate photo. So when I have a drive with what my best stuff is, and I keep those separated. So when I organized those so they were all in one place, I realized the Paris photos weren't there. So, and I thought, oh my gosh, well, at least I got these backups. And when I opened it up, I apparently hadn't finished doing all the backups right. I mean, I had the photos done, but what I normally do if I have a single photo, I'll put them into one folder. So I've got any alternate versions plus that XML file, what do you call that, car thing. So I keep those all in the same folder so I can have all the stuff in one place. I hadn't done that. So I thought I'd lost all those.
Yeah.
They were gone. I thought I actually copied, because I usually remove them from those. And those are then at that point are candidates either just to get rid of eventually in the long run, or to go back and mine it further for other photos, which oftentimes that is good results for that.
Mm.
So I've spent 15 minutes almost in a panic, like, wow, how could I possibly have done that? Because I've tried to be very careful with how I back up my photos. And then I realized what I did, and it was such a relief. It was worth that anguish just because of the feeling of relief afterwards.
No, me it didn't happen, but you hear a lot of people that they lost their backups or they lost everything, or it's a kind of normal. But
I've been interested in the NAS stuff. Do you do NAS, Jeff?
Yes, yes. Well, yes and no. So I haven't gone to a network array. I have an array of hard drives attached that give me a backup, but it is physically attached. I haven't needed to go to a NAS system, but I've thought of doing that from time to time.
Mhm.
I'm getting more interested. And my only problem with the NAS system is that if your house blows up, that's gone.
Well,
When
but
I,
the nice thing about a NAS system, I mean, it doesn't have to just be at your house, right? You can,
right.
like, the best of all possible worlds is where you have, was it three backups, two of which are maybe on-prem and one that's off. So then you can kind of remove your house blowing up from the equation, but I haven't quite gotten there.
Yeah, and I used to now when I had an office before the COVID working from home stuff, and then my retirement, I used to have all my backups in my office, which were separate locations. So that worked well for years. But now everything's all in this one place. I'm surrounded with hard drives. Like there's that one here. I don't know if you can see it
Yeah,
there,
yeah.
but um, I bet I got 7 hard drives right here on my desk right now because I've
Wow.
been going through all these things.
I have
But
only
it's a mess. It's kind of a mess. I am pretty good at making sure stuff is backed up. So if a drive crashes, I'm going to be fine. If somebody comes in here and steals them, that's a whole nother story.
Yeah.
Right.
And did you have sometimes that a drive crashed, or?
I haven't had a drive crash in a long time. And it could be because, well, the main thing I worry about crashing my drive is if it's inside my laptop, for example. And I haven't had that happen for a long time either.
Mhm.
Back years ago, I did have drives crash permanently. I couldn't recover. I even sent it into a place where recovers that stuff, and they said, nope, it's gone.
Mhm.
So I pretty much steadfastly do all these elaborate backups. And I have also another computer in my bedroom. When I get ready to do the backing up, I can just plug them in, let them copy it. Maybe it's going to take 24 hours to copy it. I don't have to worry about it. It's going to tie up my regular computer.
Yeah. And how you do it in a holiday? I have now the system that I have a hub and an iPad, so I can put my card reader in the hub and the hard disk, a small hard disk in the hub, and I can copy the card reader to the hard disk.
So when you're saying you have your card reader, you send it to your iPad. Is that right?
No, I have a card reader, and he is connected with a hub that's a connection with four holes, and that is connected with the iPad.
Hmm.
And then I have uh, the the hard disk and the card reader in the same connection, and so I can, because it's connected with the iPad, I can copy it from the card reader to the hard disk.
So you just don't have to carry a laptop with you. You can just work with the
No.
iPad. No. The only problem I've had with when I was in Japan, I used a similar setup because I didn't want to lug a laptop with me. And I had to, what did I have to do? At that time, Lightroom wouldn't allow me to edit off of an external hard drive. So I was using another program to do some of my editing. But I think that might have changed since then because they keep changing the capabilities of the iPad version of it as well. But I quite like editing on an iPad. It's there's some interesting things that can happen there with the interface.
And the other thing was what this week I've seen that. Well, the problem is that you in the hard disk you can see the pictures, but you cannot make a selection. So in the iPad I have the program for editing, but there you cannot see the photos. So I just did it in the old-fashioned way, that I go through in the hard disk to the photos, and I write down the numbers, and then I took in the numbers that I need.
Old school.
Yeah.
Now, what I've got so many old photos that I need to go through and delete many of them, probably most of them. But then that's going to take time.
Yeah.
So I found, I mean, I would like to do that, or at least narrow down some of the larger files like that, but it's more trouble than it's worth. There's enough extra hard drives around, take care of all that stuff. It's kind of like people when they used to have to delete out stuff from their emails, and they would have to go through and read each email first before they delete it, as opposed to just leave them in there.
Yeah.
They have now, I've seen with Lightroom as well, that they make automatically choices for you. When you have people with eye closed, that they give them
they got that. Yeah.
Right.
And you can easily you can go through it, but they easily delete for you.
Yeah. I mean, if you're shooting, wedding photography or birding and such, you can end up with thousands of images pretty quickly. So it's interesting. Yeah, a lot of people swear by those programs. I haven't needed one because I don't shoot in that context so much.
No, but I can understand when you have, for example, sport, and then some people in the rest, they ask for pictures already.
Yeah.
So how you are going to do this? You have 2,000 pictures in the rest, and then you need to deliver.
Yeah. I'm not entirely trusting that having the culling done automatically would yield, like, I wouldn't want to depend on 100% on that. I think for the reason that you mentioned in terms of people's deadlines and things like that, that makes perfect sense. But I worry that, like, there are quite often times when something that maybe the algorithm would not select, I would. So at the end of the day, I want to be the person who selects. But who knows? Maybe a picture with someone with their eyes closed is a good picture. There could be other things going on.
I would like to think that they wouldn't just automatically delete it permanently.
Yeah, they probably just put it over in a section.
No, they do it they put it in a file, and then you can go through it if you want.
Yeah.
But I don't like it as well, because every picture you make is for a reason, huh?
Well, yeah. Also, like when I shoot my bees with my flash, most of those shots don't turn out. So maybe I'll shoot 1,500 pictures, and only 2 of them work out, and that's a successful session for me.
Yeah.
But you have to delete 1,498 of the bad ones that are out of focus or whatever.
Yeah, you hear some people, they put the wrong photos in a disk apart, and then only the best photos in a good disk, and the bad photos in a bad disk. Then you have the things separately, but
yeah. I mean, it makes a lot of sense to try to get to a place where you invest the time where you have the most potential value, and we're likely at a place where storage doesn't matter so much. It's so cheap now that you don't have to get rid of photos quite to the extent you used to, but you don't necessarily need to spend a lot of time with photos that you haven't selected.
But I often see pictures of myself from years ago, and then I think, well, that's not bad. Let us look at and let's do something with it. So I like the photos in order of the date, so I can go through it. But not everybody's the same.
I always use a serial number with mine with the first two digits is the year, second two digits the month, last two digits of the day of the month, and then a
Yeah,
dash, and then maybe, like beats,
yeah,
and
yeah.
then the
But
dash, and then the sequence.
yeah, for me, this automatically as well. The date, the year, the date, and the day, and then I gave a name where I took it. So then I remember most of the time where I took it. Well, that's no, that's not enough, but it gives an idea. Huh? But
Yeah.
what your system with names, how you say that? Some words in it. That's better, I think.
Yeah, I mean, people that whatever their generic name comes out of their camera, I think that's an unfortunate way to store your photos. For
Mm.
one reason, they roll over. I mean, Nikon rolls over at 10,000 and starts
Yeah,
over again with 00001.
yeah, yeah.
So you have some, ambiguity there. And it's not that hard to rename this stuff. I mean, that's part of my process. As soon as I open up when I load my memory card into my computer, I'll organize them by name
Mm-hmm.
before I do anything else. And then that's everything. You got a good foundation for everything. As opposed to when you have the generic name and you open it up, the next thing you know, you want to save it in Photoshop. You can save it as a PSD file,
Yeah.
and you end up with two file names with the same number. But then if you want to renumber everything, they're going to have the PSD is going to be in a sequence after the original image,
Mm-hmm.
which I think that's just too funky.
Yeah.
So it's easier for me just to name them at first. And the Adobe Bridge does a really good job of renaming stuff quickly.
Mm.
So I can have all the renaming done in 5-10 minutes.
Yeah.
Easy. Even separating into separate folders and things. But the people in my photography club, they don't. They rarely do any backing up, and they almost never rename their stuff. So it kind of drives me nuts. I go, man, eventually they're going to get stung by that.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, but you can find it easier than they can find it, I think.
Yeah.
Like, look, some people are, how you say, more lazy than other.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's people just don't want to monkey with it. That's too much, bureaucratic stuff, admin stuff, donkey
Yeah,
work.
yeah. But in the end, you have it faster than they have.
Yeah. And I think the fact that I got my all these thousands of photos named and filed properly, is a great way to find stuff.
Yeah.
I feel very confident and feel comfortable with where I can find my stuff.
Yeah, I think especially when you do always the same kind of photography, because,
Yeah.
for example, when you do sport, well, what game you photographed 2 years ago? I don't know. And if you do bees a lot, you have thousands of bees, then yeah, you have to make a difference.
Well, then you were talking about, I started keywords. You mentioned keywords a few months ago
Yeah.
and Adobe Bridge. So I've always, sort of wondered about doing it. So now I've really jumped into it with both feet. And and one of the things I've done was I've got all what I consider my prime photos, and I got 7,700 of them.
Mm-hmm.
I need to weed a lot of those out, but I have those all in one, like a copy of those, a 25% sized image of each one into a single folder. So then I can open that in Bridge and I can apply keywords all over them. So if I want to look at bees, just click the button for bees and there are bees.
Yeah.
Or pictures from Paris, or, landscapes, or ICM, whatever way you want to go about it. It makes it simple. But it takes a little bit of work to do that. But
Yeah.
and I'm the type of guy that kind of likes to do that kind of stuff, where a lot of people would hate to do that.
But in the end, you have efficiency, I think. Huh?
Yes.
Because then you don't have to look for a long time.
Yeah, let me go ahead and share my screen with, now that I mention it, you get Adobe Bridge back up.
I have Bridge as well.
Yeah, let me find it. There is Bridge. Can you see the Bridge screen with the big
Yep.
daffodil? Okay, and I've got, there's my Prime catalog. And take this way down. So here, once this little swirly thing stops, you'll see I've got a lot of photos and I got these fillers. It's still building it up here. There you go, 7,651 images.
Mm-hmm.
And here I have keywords. So if I want to click my, it's still loading files here. Alaska photos. That's the only one I've got in there so far. But
And you can easily go to the date as well, no?
yeah, so you can see my name. There's 2023, October 22nd
Okay.
with all those. So
I do that with, how you say, with verzamelingen, collections.
yeah, I haven't done collections yet. That's what I need to
when I
figure
go
out.
to I go to the picture, then I go to send on the picture, and then I go to collections, and then you can see the date.
And I haven't played with this either, but you can get down and find, well, like whatever. I just, let me clear the filter first.
Well, you have to open collections, I think, on the left.
Yeah. Well, anyway, this is how I've got it set on architecture right now, but I'm still monkeying around with this. So I go to filter, clear all, and I haven't monkeyed with this any yet, but was safe with all thing with the ISOs. Let's see. These are all ISOs of 6400 or 60,
yeah.
64 or 125. So, and also with bit depth, that's something that's going to ask everybody about. Do you know what bit depth you're using?
No.
I'm thinking 14, but I can't recall correctly.
Yeah, I think 14 is on Nikon too, but apparently 16 is a whole lot better than 14. So anyway, that's how I've got. I mean, these are all some of these are repeats. I need to weed out some of this stuff. Like there's a third version of that. I just need to delete it.
Yeah.
But now I can easily go through and find it. And if there's anything on another, whenever it's on the other hard drive, I just copy the file name and search that hard drive, and there it is.
And how you do it is when you're editing, I mostly make more versions.
Yeah, but when I'm editing, I need to find the original file first because this is not a very big file.
Mm-hmm.
This is let me see what the full size image is here. This is more or less a thumbnail. That's 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Can you see that still?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's not very big, but this original image would be like 5 times that big. So anyway, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. But every year I get more. Like I think this year I've got probably 8 terabytes of files just for 2025 that I need to whittle down a lot of stuff. Yeah, but that's also a lot of focus stacking.
Yeah.
Focus stacking really eats it up. If you go out and do like 40 focus stacks of 100 images each, that's a lot of images.
Yeah, you have to stop stacking.
Yeah. And I keep the individual images. So if I want to try to restack it some way in a better way,
Yeah.
we could do that, because if you use Helicon Focus or most any other, I don't know if Bridge, if Photoshop has it or not, but Helicon or you can change the way it works. And there are ways you can tweak those versions of the ways of doing it so you can get different qualities come out in the images. So I don't want to lose my original files, so I can restack those at some point.
But if you are editing and you are ready with it, you take out all the wrong versions, or you keep them out all?
Oh yeah, with the one that my main file with all there are many of them that are like alternate versions I can just get rid of. And that's a good way to call too. I can go through and take a look at that and see what's in that folder and see which ones maybe I can get rid of the first versions of them. Of course, I'll never get rid of the raw file.
No.
But I might get rid of a few other things. But that's as I encounter them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was actually from this year. I said, well, I'm going to go in the dustbin all the editing work, but I didn't do it yet. And then in the end, I keep a JPEG file, but I cannot do it yet.
A lot of effort.
Yeah, no, it's a lot of work to do it again. So therefore, I'm doubting. So I think maybe 90%, for 90% it works, but for 10% not. And this is my problem with it.
Well, those are the kinds of problems that are good to have too, though, as long as you don't lose stuff. You don't have something that makes you panic or gets lost.
As I say, the hard disks are not so expensive any longer. So
No.
For a few hundred, you have a lot of terabytes. So
yeah, I think 6 terabyte you can get like $180. That's in dollars anyway.
Yeah,
that's pretty cheap. I've got this one. What is this? Oh, this is a 4 terabyte.
Yeah, I have the same. Yeah,
Get one of these guys. With the portable ones, you don't have to have an AC cord hooked up to it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's an advantage.
Yeah, I have now 3 or 4 terabytes. So let's see how long it works.
Yeah, and I've got, whenever I travel, also got, these things. I've got 3 of these.
The small. Yeah.
SanDisk things. And this one's a 4 terabyte. I got 2 4 terabytes and a 2 terabyte. So those are good to back up while I'm traveling.
This is Chinese, I think. Yeah?
They might be. They probably are. Yeah. And I've got
they
one.
They say they are very slow. Is it? Are they slow?
No, those are SSD, so they're lightning fast.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Now this, I've got I think it's the same company called Glyph or something like that. This is, I think, the same company does this. It's an 8 terabyte SSD.
Mm-hmm.
So this is really good as temporary backups and things like that. And I've also got an 8 terabyte SSD in my computer.
Mm-hmm.
So previously I had 1 terabyte SSDs, and that just fills up way too fast.
Mm-hmm.
So for traveling, you use the small things, and for your computer,
Yeah.
you have the big one. They are more reliable, I think.
I think I'm going to get a safety deposit box though for my backups.
Mm-hmm.
Keep my back. Those backups are 2 backups actually. So I'll have the masters here in the house, and I'm going to have the safety deposit box have the copies of the masters. Mm-hmm. After that. So,
and when you make a copy of the masters every year, or?
Well, it just depends. I could probably do it more frequently than I ought to, but I do a pretty good job of it. I mean, it's like I said, it's easy enough to have a separate computer and just plug in hard drives and copy them over and let let it
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
So that helps to have a good location to do that.
But I think your backups are getting a long time as well.
Yeah, and you got to be careful that you don't accidentally delete stuff
No.
in
Yeah.
in your rush to back up something you might cover some. You just
Yeah.
have to be really careful. That's where it helps to get things numbered or titled properly. You're less likely to happen. That's not going to happen.
Some time ago, I bought a new hard disk, and I wanted to have everything on another hard disk. So the backup was, I think, for 3 days.
Oh
So
yeah. Oh, especially if it's a special. I mean, I've got like oh, like this is a 12 terabyte Western Digital hard drive,
mhm.
and this is a backup for all my photos 2021 and earlier.
Mm.
So this is before I did focus stacking. So I can put a lot of stuff on one hard drive,
Yeah.
but I'll have, gosh, I said I've got like at least 7 terabytes just for 2025
Hmm.
right now.
A nice photo you have in the back, Teddy.
Yeah,
Thanks.
I said that at the start.
That shot out of a hotel window, was in Chicago last year. It's in Michigan Avenue. It's just a little bit, 2 blocks that way in the image is the art museum, the Chicago Art Institute, and then of course you had the bean is there. You could see, I
Mhm.
could see the bean out that window if I looked that direction.
Mhm.
That's like about the 17th floor of that hotel.
So with
If
the
I,
white lens,
what's that?
with the white lens.
I think that's a stacked uh, panorama, probably like 5 images.
Okay.
I realized that you can really zoom in on that. You can actually see people in those images.
Mm-hmm.
I could have been paid more closer attention to it. I would have maybe even gotten just a little bit sharper because I was using a higher ISO. But if I would have done it with a tripod,
So you are a bit sneaky as well.
yes, I am.
But there are photographers who do that. They make sneaky photos of people in their room. They go in front of the other, but with telelenses.
Yeah, well, that wasn't my intention. But I just wanted to get like that. All those colors, the lights, some of the building
Yeah,
lights are on, and some of them weren't, and so
was
forth.
a joke. Was just a joke.
Yeah, but I could have because you can actually see what the televisions are on in people's rooms, and somebody's exercising with like they've got regular. Those were regular apartments and not just hotel rooms.
I don't know the name, but I've seen a movie about it. Some murder was in the other side of the building.
Oh, there's a famous one, a Hitchcock one, Rear View Mirror. Or sorry, Rear View Window.
Rear window. Rear window.
Rear Window.
Yeah, that's a great movie. Yeah,
I eventually got there. It
and
is.
Hero is a photographer.
Yeah, with this big telephoto lens looking at the back there.
So, do you guys have any questions? Did you ever come up with any questions?
Questions.
Like when I often come up with a list of questions or things to talk about.
I'm going to make a list next week.
Yeah, I have to put some more thought to that. I did not manage to do so for this week.
So that's no problem. Do you have any other pictures you'd like to show?
I can maybe I can show the picture of the hip shot.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I don't know if it's working here on the iPad, so let's see. Uh, photos. Camera, photos or camera? I need to share camera.
I think you'd have to share, not a camera, you'd have to share a file.
Screen.
Or screen. Yeah.
we go.
I don't know.
I think your screen is up.
No, I don't know. I stop it. I think something going wrong.
I haven't tried to do it on iPad before.
Stop it. Okay, let's do it again. Photos. Uh, let me see. Anyways, I don't think it's going to work.
Oh,
I do it one more time and then we stop it.
okay.
Photos. I need to go to. No, no, I'm sorry, this is not working.
Okay.
Here I can show a couple from my attempt to do. This is a combination of the shoot from the hip exercise as well
Yeah.
as just a few other ones. So I mentioned, do you see that?
Yep.
Yeah, so there's this time of year they set up right outside the art gallery a nice Ferris wheel and lots of lights and people. So this is a dog who wasn't so thrilled with all the lights. Maybe he was okay with the people. And then so that one was shot from the hip, and this one was shot from the hip.
Yeah, that's a good angle.
Yeah, so it's this is I sometimes have shot down here where they have people dancing, which is kind of fun. Uh, then this is shot from the hip at kind of a photobombing someone else. And
This is a
then
nice shot, Jeff,
Yeah.
yeah, I thought it was. It worked out nicely.
because normally you can do it, but uh, it's a nice picture because it's from low.
Yeah, and I'm at the bottom of this. This is a beautiful courthouse area that has really interesting architecture. It's this Canadian architect called Arthur Erickson, and it's a really fabulous space, a public space. So it's got some really nice sight lines, and it's well part of the university campus as well. But then there's this one's a bit of an abstract, so that's just front of a vehicle reflecting the.
That's kind of fun. Yeah.
So I like that one.
Yeah, that looks like something you could explore.
Yeah.
Find other cars with reflections and things like that. And
Hmm.
that's a
And then
great,
But
one,
that's a great idea.
then
the exercise was from the hip, but was it
yeah.
people as well, or
Well,
in?
I kind of took it as in being a form of street photography because that's the example that was on the site. But then this is also shot from the hip.
That's a good one there.
Yeah, that's a good one.
So yeah, I mean it's a technique I use a fair bit. I mean it's more I use zone focusing more as a technique than shooting from the hip per se, but you can transfer the two. The extra challenge is trying to do it with a longer lens with a more open aperture because you don't have as much depth of field to work with. Like here, the man who's my subject is in focus, but the hot dog vehicle itself is a little bit soft, but that's inevitable. That's the only way it would work with that aperture.
Yeah.
That's what I have trouble with shooting people and walls and things. So usually the people are out of focus. If I focus on the wall,
Yeah, so
even at f11 or something.
you have to make a choice.
Yeah.
Or have that figured out. So like you can walk down the street and you can have, anywhere from a few feet to infinity reasonably in focus, depending on how you have your camera set. So using hyperfocal focusing can be a way of resolving that, but you're never going to get tack sharp across the whole frame with it.
Yeah. Well, you could get close to that with a 2 image focus stack where if you I do like back button focus. So if I would
Yeah.
focus, move the camera so that the spot is on the man, on the guy on the right, and then move, recenter it, shoot it, back button focus, shoot it again. Then you're going to have the cart in focus and the man is, and you're going to have 2 images you can fuse together.
One thing
But
I do like
that's
in
not
the
through the hip. That's not off the hip though.
yeah, but one thing I've mentioned before in our conversations is I do appreciate the fact that blurriness in an image has a potential depth clue to it. And I like the perception. I like depth in an image and playing with the difference of depth and sharpness in an image. So I'm rarely trying to capture an image that's sharp through. I mean, I'm lucky if I capture an image that's sharp, full stop. But I'm rarely trying to capture something that's sharp all the way through the frame.
And here, here you have the background very good because it's not the left is more occupied. And the right is not occupied. The man is good in is sharp against the background. That's how it works here.
Yeah. Well, and I'll just bring it up again because the other part that worked really well here, on a second, was I don't know if the zoom works, but like the detail on him. Can you see his shoes?
Yeah.
So and the fingernail polish and so that's the subject. So I wanted him. He is the only thing that really matters to be in focus.
Yeah, I think you're okay with the focus like that, when things are a little bit soft because of the street photography.
Yeah.
And you might we were talking about converting this to black and white, possibly. I mean, I think it's kind of like the colors, but what would happen within black and white?
There you go.
Okay, it's working as well.
Oops. Yeah, that's not bad.
Now, one thing you got to watch out for with out of focus elements are essential lots of times. But if you're not careful, you get too much. If you get if you make a large print, where the out of focus elements will become overwhelming.
Yeah, and you could say here that the text is getting too much attention here. So when it's black and white, it's better.
Yeah. And of course, you've never seen any shots of mine that have issues with too much in the blur, but yeah. And again, it's one of these fun things aesthetically, right? You get kind of like you can get pulled into like there was a period of time when I was really cooking the color, just kind of baking.
Yeah, you learn. That's how you learn.
Yeah,
mistakes are the best way to learn.
Yeah, and later on, you know how to use it.
Yeah.
If you want some more color, then you know where you can get it.
Yeah. The one thing that's interesting, especially with night photography and color, is that or even different times of day, like people often correct the beautiful light out of the image, and kind of figuring out light at night when there are so many different light sources of different kinds of, different temperatures of light and everything. So like the ones at the Ferris wheel, I could have corrected them to get better skin tones, but then I would have been taking those people out of the color of the atmosphere they were in. And so kind of figuring out when to do that and when not to do that, or how to be careful about when you're doing that can be a real challenge.
Yeah, and you can selectively boost the color in some areas, because if you're not careful, somebody's face is going to look like it's pumpkin orange or something like that,
The last 1 or 2 years, I only take everything in a Kelvin 5500.
No, yeah, interesting.
So in the night, no problem. I do it because I have a reference then.
Yeah.
So I know what I'm doing then, I think.
Yeah. You're not having to throw a gray card out into your shot to give yourself a reference.
Yeah. But it helps because when you're putting your camera on automatic, then you don't know what it's doing most of the time. Mm-hmm. And then you have I don't know how it's in your camera, but in my camera you have flash, you have sunlight and shadow and things like that. But to me, it's not helping. So I think 5500, then I know that's daylight, and I know that if I do something in the evening, that I have to make more to the blue.
Yeah, that makes sense.
On some of the photos, like I was in Rochester, Minnesota, and I was surprised how much it's that the Mayo Clinic is there. And I was surprised how good the architecture is there. It's really cool. Can you see?
Mhm.
So you're seeing my bridge thing?
Yep. Ah, a selfie.
Yep. With reflections. Of course, you could actually clone that stuff out pretty easily because especially when you got a lot of reflections, it's kind of forgiving with stuff like that.
Yeah, but in this case,
No reason to get rid of that reflection.
Yeah.
this
Those
is
are
a
nice.
That's a stereo shot there. If you knew how to do the stereo,
Oh,
that's
cool.
lot
Yeah,
of
that
detail.
works really well in black and white.
yeah, that's black and white, and you can see that blue sky. If you take a close look up in the right-hand corner, there's a little light sticking out from the side. And I wasn't that happy with how that one turned out, but that's another stereo shot. That's a stereo shot. That's stereo. Stereo. When I like stereo, when you're looking through windows like this, it's got multiple layers, not just 2 or 3 layers.
Mm-hmm.
And I was
I
happy
like
with
the man in the left there.
Yeah, I was happy with how that turned out. That's a stitched panorama too of about 7 or 8 images.
Hmm.
And that's a stereo shot.
A clever place to place it with the brick there.
Yeah.
And that panorama, the last one you did, was from left to right or something?
Yes. And that's handheld too. I have pretty good luck with handheld.
Okay. And portrait?
I'm sorry, what's that?
You do it with portrait or landscape?
No, I just moved my camera left to right. Boom.
But were you set at portrait orientation
Oh,
or landscape?
I always shoot portrait orientation.
Mm-hmm.
Don't even monkey around with doing stitched panoramas in the landscape orientation. I mean, it's possible, but you're not going to get much luck.
Mm.
And you'll have more territory to work with too.
Yeah.
No, I love that.
It's a good shot. Huh?
It's the detail of this building there at Mayo Clinic.
Yeah, it's nice as well. Low.
I just could not get the lines right on this one though.
If you tempted to crop in even a bit further, then you'd lose those two mid or the background things, and you just have the wall and the floor.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite things about a day like that, with the clouds like that, with looking up. That's the best kind of clouds to have when you're looking up at architecture.
Yeah, a big light box.
And I did this one. That was one of my posted last week. This is in Harvard. There's wasn't really a protest. People were just sort of standing in vigil in front of the Harvard Library.
They are loudness, or
I'm sorry, what's that?
they are against something, or
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure, but it has to do with the Gaza and the people who were killed or imprisoned there in Israel.
okay.
There's intentional camera movement looking straight up at the sky with fall colors.
I see him.
And here I thought you were in an art gallery and you'd taken a detail.
Yeah.
What has that look to it?
There's intentional same scene but twisting.
What was your shutter speed?
That's probably, let me see if I find out what that is here.
110, 115, I think.
It is. Where am I? Half second.
Oh, half a second, yeah.
Yeah, well, with ICM, you really need to keep it under a second for sure.
Yeah.
And here, when you get to the same kind of scene,
Lovely
just
lighting there.
twist the camera. And what do you think when you see this photo?
It's a pillar.
Looks like a column.
It's a column, yeah. But it makes it, what brings to mind, you ever see the movie The Day the Earth Stood Still?
Oh yeah, Gort.
Gort. Gort,
Yeah,
Klaatu, Barretta, Necto, yes.
yeah. Time to run away.
Yeah.
It's interesting how the geometry pulls here, even though you've got it locked in.
Yeah. I mean, you can't, it's hard to get everything square, especially if you're shooting oblique.
Yeah.
And one thing I liked about stuff, because these are all these skyscrapers closed in, when you get reflections off the windows of other skyscrapers. And you got that in some pictures last week or the week before last, didn't you there, Jeff?
Yeah, some UBC buildings in the
Yeah.
sunset.
That's a stereo shot there. That's not that interesting of a stereo shot, but
This one I like.
Good. I like the light, the negative space.
Yeah.
they're shooting straight down. I don't know what drove me to, because I don't know the words or the shape, and my feet still in the picture. I don't know if that all works or not.
No, but
That's looking straight up at a Wells Fargo bank lobby.
Isn't it? You have nice light for this day.
Well, that's one thing I like, because at that time of year, it's kind of, you never really get that high of a light. It's lots of nice shadows. And if you see that building there, that's part of an art gallery. And the picture I posted this week with the railing, you can see the reflection from that building onto that railing.
Oh, cool.
That's why there's a highlight there.
well, these
I
are
really like that railing shot of yours.
Yeah,
That's stereo.
that's a good one as well.
Oh, wow.
Nice place.
And if you see those windows at the top part, the one that I did that stitch panorama across those 5 windows up above that. So I kind of zoomed in on that with a guy that was standing through the window on the left side.
That's interesting cladding.
There's a reflection of myself there. That's my wife waving at me from our hotel window.
This is nice.
Oh, that's neat. I like that a lot.
Yeah, that's in Harvard.
It's interesting, like, what you're playing with there in terms of, again, the depth, and, that those ladders could be inside, they could be outside, and the light and the shadow and everything is disorienting.
Yeah.
They could be set up in the middle of the street for all I can tell, but I know they're not.
I'm actually shooting straight into the room where those ladders are.
Yeah. You take a lot of reflections as well the last time.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that.
It's very good. Late afternoon.
That's kind of an intentional camera. I don't know how that, I think it works that well, but I gave it a try.
No, that's good.
And then we're out of those. Oh, there's the Charles River in Boston and Cambridge.
Beautiful leaf colors.
Yeah, the laser peeked out there. No, I've been limited. Anyway, that's what I've really got the.
No, you have a good result. Yeah, you have good material.
I will stop sharing. So, what are your plans for the upcoming week?
Yeah, my plan is going to paint the room here.
Yeah, I've got a pretty busy couple of work weeks, and then I'm going to take some vacation. But I'll try to pop out and take some pictures along the way. Most of my pictures right now are the commuting ones in the morning and the afternoon or the evening, but I will try to get out to a couple shows or something sometime.
So how close are you to retirement?
It's within, 3 to 5 years is
Yeah.
where I'm kind of targeting it now, or at least imagining it. So it's now become a topic of conversation in
Yep.
my group. And,
You start to think.
But then you don't have time any longer. So better can take now photos.
yeah, so it's encouraging in that, like the idea of the luxury of time, so that there's that part of it. But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I can't hardly believe since I retired how much I wasn't able to do. I thought I was doing a whole lot of stuff photography wise, even though I was doing a full 8 hours work a day. But now I'm just still completely swamped with photography stuff. So, like, what the hell was I doing then? I don't know.
No, sometimes I think as well where I got the time when I was working, because now I have not enough time, and how I did it when I was working then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just did less, I think.
One thing that surprised me, because I really enjoyed the work I did, and I had ownership. I had a lot of these programs I wrote and stuff like that, and I was concerned about them and always upgrade. And right now, I could care less about that stuff. Even though I definitely still have an affection for the job that I had, the company I work for, and things like that. It's like I was surprised I would not miss it. I was surprised that I did not miss it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's interesting. I mean, it's a big transition, and the other piece is like in this time that I'm still with the university. There's also the kind of organizational changes or the kind of challenges that come up. You kind of look at them. Okay, I've been through that about 3 or 4 different times, and by the time this all comes out, I might not be here worrying about it with you. So best of luck to all of you. That kind of attitude starts to creep in just a little bit.
Yeah, my wife retired. She was a professor at IU, and she still has all this work. She's got 2 grad students under her still. She's working with.
Mm-hmm.
That's been like 4 years, and but then she still has. She writes papers and things like. So she hasn't really retired. She just stopped teaching. She doesn't have to do the faculty stuff anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's currently in New York City right now with an old friend of hers, but they're meeting with somebody there to work on a paper.
Oh, that's excellent. And doing it entirely in terms of what interests her rather than any of the departmental stuff there.
Yeah, but she loves what she does. So
yeah.
But she didn't like the admin work for the fact. She was the chair of the department for a while. She absolutely hated that.
Yeah. That's often a thankless job.
Yeah. So I just need to get my butt outside to take pictures in the cold. I got the cold weather stuff. I used to do cold weather bicycling. Like I had all the gear, the neoprene core tights and all this kind of stuff. But I just don't like to get outside when it's cold. I just need to force myself to do that. Maybe get some heated gloves or something like that.
Yeah. It's the hands actually most in the winter. But I mean, here the challenge is just being out in the wet more than the cold, though sometimes a combination of both. But the difference in the quality of the light, everything is much more dark, is balanced a little bit because everything is much more wet. So there are reflective surfaces everywhere.
The reflective surfaces on the streets and cities. Yeah,
you just shift to something else.
Yeah, with the bicycling, by the time winter hits, I mean, I would work till 5, and then this time of year, it's already dark. So.
And what you photograph then? Architecture? Or?
Well, yeah, I could still some architecture I can do around Bloomington, but I would like to get go up to Indianapolis, and there's some areas around Indiana I would like to explore a little bit more. But if I could just get outside and do anything, get something outside. And I need to practice more. I think it's important to practice as a photographer. Mm-hmm. You get stale. I mean, if you're doing post-processing work, that's another way to practice. I'm talking about the camera. Now, what I can do, though, is drag stuff inside because I have a good-sized kitchen with a south-facing window, and I can just put up light stands and stuff like that. So I can do a lot of macro photography on things.
Yeah.
So I need to do some of that stuff. And I've been promising for the photography club to have step by steps how you can determine what your sweet spot of your lens is for focusing and how your depth of field works and things like that with step by step photos. I need to do that too. So that would still be practice, and you can learn a lot when you try to do things like that. But hey, we're here at 3 o'clock. I still plan on doing this again next week. In January, I'm going to be gone to Norway for 2 weeks.
Okay.
So, and it's going to be dark and cold.
Yeah.
So I need to psych myself up for that.
Maybe you'll get an aurora shot.
Hopefully, yeah, unless it's going to be cloudy all the time or something like that. So, yeah, we're going to be up by the Arctic Circle. So,
You're going for the light? For the light there?
yeah, whatever light there will be there. Okay,
Take
guys.
a nice wide lens.
Yes. Well, I need a stitch panoramas. I don't use my wide angle that much anymore. I got a 14 to 24. And I love it, but you know what? Since I started doing stitch panoramas, I don't use it that often. But I need to get it out and do it more often because there are things you can't do it with stitching.
Mm-hmm.
You have a character, especially if you shoot stuff up close.
Yeah.
With that, that 14 millimeters, it's really interesting. Okay, so I'm going to get out of here. It's great to see you two.
Enjoy the rest
And
of the day.
I will put the video up before the end of tomorrow.
All
See
righty.
you guys.
Bye-bye. See you next week.
Bye-bye.